Hey, welcome back to Immigration Wednesdays with Attorney Jeff Peek. We're actually not going to talk much about immigration today. We're actually going to talk about something that could affect you potentially in immigration. It's the law in Texas with respect to should you stop after getting involved in an accident. Obviously, the answer seems like yes, absolutely, you should stop. That's the law, right? And give information. But what happens if you hit a parked car? What's the difference between hitting a parked car? What's the difference between if you hit a car and nobody's really hurt? What if somebody's minorly injured? And then what happens if somebody's either seriously injured or possibly even killed? Does that change your liability or the potential levels of criminality? And the answer is yes, absolutely. That's gonna depend on the damage to the car. It's gonna depend on people hurt and what actions you take. So let's just review what the law says briefly. If you hit a parked car, what do you gotta do? You still have to stop. You still have to check to see if any damage is issued. You have to try to inform the owner of the car that you hit the car, whether it was your fault, or you think the parked car was at fault. You still have to stop. You have to leave your identifying information, insurance information, driver's license. If you're in a store, obviously you may want to go inside and inform the store. You want to take reasonable efforts to try to inform the people. You can always call 311 as well. Then you don't necessarily have to wait at the scene, but you certainly want to document that an accident occurred, get the license plate number, maybe inform your own insurance carrier. There's different steps you can take. If you do that, you're not committing a crime. If you leave the scene, damage is under $200, a ticket. If it's over $200, which is almost always going to be damage over $200, it's going to be a Class B misdemeanor. Now you're looking at potential jail time and a fine, probation, other things, all because you didn't stop. Would have been no crime at all. Just a simple matter of insurance resolving it. So just take the time to stop and leave information. Now, what happens if you're in a car accident and there's people inside of it? Well, now it's going to depend on if they're injured or not. If nobody's injured, obviously you need to pull over the side of the road. If the cars are still drivable or movable, if they're safely able to move off, get out of the roadway, you're allowed to agree to pull off to a side stuff spot or the most reasonable spot that's safe for you. If it requires you to come back because there was not a good place to stop and you have to circle back, just do so as quickly as possible. If you leave the scene without intent to return, that's when a crime happens. Now, if there's no injury, it may be treated, there's kind of a hybrid crime under the transportation code where they can treat it as a misdemeanor, give you misdemeanor jail time or felony jail time or misdemeanor probation. Again, a lot will depend on your intention why you left. If the people aren't seriously injured. What happens if you do have serious bodily injury? Now it's jumping up to a third-degree felony. If somebody dies, you're talking about jumping up to a second-degree felony. And again, it doesn't necessarily, there's not a crime just because somebody's injured. The crime begins when you leave the scene and stay. If you stay and help somebody who's seriously injured, there's no crime. Now, obviously, when situations where we're talking intoxication because of alcohol or drugs, that's different. You're talking about situations where somebody's driving super recklessly. Maybe they're racing, maybe they were going at super high velocities and speeds or changing lanes dangerously. Yeah, you could have some reckless driving elements that could put that into a crime. So alcohol and really dangerous driving are one thing. But if it's just negligence, which happens all the time, accidents happen all the time for negligence, you just need to stop. And then you avoid all criminal liability just by staying. Obviously, we understand why do people usually run from the scene of crime? We assume usually because alcohol was involved and they don't want to get charged with DWI. Or maybe they have a warrant for their arrest. We've seen people who are undocumented immigrants get fearful because they don't have a driver's license, they're afraid they're going to get deported. Obviously, if you're an immigrant, it is much better for you to stay and get a Class C ticket for no driver's license and take care of people at the scene than it is to run and incur a felony, okay? If your fear is actually deportation or getting kicked out of the country, you're much more likely to get kicked out of the country with a felony arrest than you would just by being involved in a civil accident and staying and reporting, even if you don't have a driver's license, okay? So just, you don't make things worse for yourself. That's the whole point of the story, is stay, help out. Obviously, it's a human, moral, good, decent thing to do to help people who are injured. So you have motivation beyond just the law, what the law requires you, what God requires you, what your heart requires of you is just to be a good person. Make sure, we had a sad story several years back about a young lady who was jogging, got hit by what we assume is a drunk driver, and she ended up dying. And I think the medical report where she probably suffered for hours on the side of the road because it happened really early in the morning, it was dark, nobody saw her. Had that driver stopped and helped her, called an ambulance or took her to the hospital, she probably would have lived, they think. But because it took a while for her to be discovered and later treated, she later died at the hospital. And that's really tragic to think that her life could have been saved had somebody just been decent enough to stop. And so we've seen it. I heard a story on the radio coming in this morning about a couple on an accident on a motorcycle who died, and the vehicle ran away. Well, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think they don't have cameras? There's cameras everywhere now. There's witnesses. They know the license plate number. The vehicle stopped at a nearby gas station, so they have video footage of the driver. He's now going to get caught and charged with a second-degree felony. Whereas had he just stayed, he may not have faced any charges at all. So sometimes you just have to do the right thing, even when you're afraid and scared and confused. Just stop, call the police, cooperate with the other people, and you avoid much more serious charges. Now, what should you do if you've already made the mistake of fleeing? Okay, we can't go back in time. You've already hit and run, you were scared, you left, you drove straight home, parked your car in the garage, you closed the garage door, and now you're sitting in your house freaking out. The first advice I'd give you is call a lawyer. Okay, call a lawyer immediately. If it's in the middle of the night, there's lawyers like us who will answer their phone. Let them know the situation so we can start mitigating the risk and danger to your case. You can actually make things worse. You can commit other crimes like destruction of evidence. And we want to make sure that we don't dig you in a deeper hole than you're already in. And there may be things we can do that actually might help you get out of the hole. It just depends on your situation. So obviously give us a call if you get in that situation. Again, we don't advise you flee, but if you've already done it, that's after the fact, you need to talk to a lawyer as quickly as possible to avoid digging your hole deeper and to avoid future crimes and to possibly mitigate punishment later on by doing things, starting to undo the damage you've already done. Okay? I hope that helps you. I know that's not necessarily an immigration thing, but I just saw an immigration conflict the other day where he's possibly at risk of losing his permanent residency because he fled in an accident. And had he just stayed, he would have just gotten a ticket. So fleeing, I understand, strikes fear when people get in a hurry. I think in Latin American countries, there are some countries where you get in an accident, even if it's civil, and you go to jail, somebody gets hurt. I'm not that familiar with law in Mexico and other Latin American countries, but I've heard that from other lawyers and other people from Latin America. It's different here, okay? You can be negligent in an accident. You can be at fault in an accident here in the United States and not necessarily committing a crime, okay? Those are civil matters typically if you're not intoxicated. So anyways, that's my advice for you guys. Again, I hope that helps you. If you have any understanding or you're facing one of these charges, we'd love to help you out. You can give us a call here at Pickens Law. Remember, we don't just do immigration, we also do criminal defense. We've been doing it for 20 years, celebrating 20 years as a lawyer this year. 10 years with my partner, Steve Cohen. So we've been winning amazing victories in the court for the last 10 years, 20 years on my career. Love to continue to help you guys do the same. Hope that's been helpful. We'll see you next Wednesday with another Immigration Wednesdays. Thanks.